Nice of you to drop in.
Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer. Today I'm going to be discussing The Flash, because it's been really good so far, and we're getting closer to the end of the season, and the show's been around for a good amount of time, so I want to talk about it, maybe compare it to Arrow a little bit, and yeah, let's just jump straight into the bad, because there's not a whole lot of bad with this show. The show's been really good. My main problem is the villains suck. The Flash has reminded me of the Marvel movies so much, because Marvel has good movies, but their villains absolutely suck. Besides Tom Hiddleston as Loki and Warmonger and Iron Man 1, besides that, all the villains have been terrible. Well, Winter Soldier was a good villain, but you know what I mean. He was different. He was more like a tool for the villain. He wasn't really the big villain, because that was Robert Redford, who, again, wasn't a very good villain. Robert Redford did a good performance, but as a villain, he was very cliched and not very good. And Flash, to me, has reminded me of Marvel, because they're sort of like Marvel to Arrow. Arrow is more like DC, because Arrow is much more serious and has better villains, but Flash is a lot funnier and has more of like a comic book aspect to it instead of trying to stay real. But their villains also suck. They're really bad. Well, the only like really good villain we've had, well, is Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash is awesome. He is amazing. I love Reverse Flash. Everything that they've got going with Reverse Flash is great. The mystery element to him, the fact that he murdered Flash's mom, everything with Reverse Flash is awesome. But every other villain, ugh. When they first revealed, well, when the first episode with Captain Cold was really good. I liked Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold. He did a good job. The episode to me was probably the worst episode we had up until. It wasn't a bad episode, but it was, compared to the others, it wasn't very good. But Wentworth Miller did a good performance, but the episode was so-so, because I just don't know what it is with their villains. They don't know how to get them down. They're like these sort of cardboard, cartoony villains that don't anything. Like when the episode, well, the mid-season finale, well, not finale, the mid-season premiere, I was so excited for it, because it was Captain Cold and Heatwave, and they acted like cartoons. They reminded me of Paul Giamatti as Rhino in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They were terrible. I don't know what happened, because I liked Wentworth Miller as Captain Cold the first episode, but this episode he was just, ugh. It reminded me of watching Gotham. I have not watched all the episodes of Gotham. I've heard it's actually been pretty good lately, but what happened with Gotham was Dollmaker had these henchmen, these two henchmen that were absolute cartoons. They were terrible. I mean, it was just horrendous having to watch them. It was just awful, and that's why I stopped watching the show. I heard it's been pretty good lately, but that's why I stopped. Because there were other people on the show with bad acting as well, but those two people were terrible, and that's what Captain Cold and Heatwave reminded me of in the mid-season premiere for Flash. They were like that. By the way, spoilers for Flash. I will probably be spoiling stuff. I haven't spoiled anything so far, so I just forgot to mention that. Spoilers if you're not caught up on Flash. So anyways, the villains are not all of them are cartoons like the Gotham, like that Gotham villain, or like Captain Cold and Heatwave have been. They're just not good. Like Pied Piper, when Cisco lets him out in the newest episode, you're supposed to be thinking like, oh man, this is so cool. He's with this guy. You don't know what's gonna go on. But I was like, this guy is terrible. Like how he tried to be a cool villain, he was terrible. I didn't think the actor was good for him. I didn't think the way they set up the character and anything was good. It's just, Reverse Flash is the only good villain they've had. Now, my other gripe with the show, I've only got two real gripes, which I just covered. One is villains. Number two is Flash fighting. It is, like, he turns into just moron mode when he fights. Now, I see this as, because the writers see Flash and they're like, oh, he's this all-powerful character, he can run super fast, we have to balance him out. So, let's make him stupid. They did the same thing with Superman and Superman the Animated Series. They're like, Superman's so powerful, how are we gonna, balance him out, make an interesting story? I know, let's make him stupid, let's dumb his powers down. Flash, they haven't really dumbed his powers down, he's just early on, but they make him stupid. What I mean by that is, you know how many people he got super speed punched in the face? And a lot of people will be like, well, yeah, but I understand they have to balance it out. No, you know how many comics they have to draw on that don't rely on Flash being stupid to make an interesting story? There are tons of comics that they can draw upon to be like, oh, remember when they did this? Instead of Flash just being an idiot, like when, oh my gosh, when he was fighting Pied Piper that first time, and he just stops and talks to him, and Pied Piper blasts him, and he throws billy clubs at him. That was just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. He threw billy clubs at him. He's the Flash. He should have a better way to take this guy down than throwing billy clubs. And then the second time he fights him, he takes his gloves off and is like, ha, I took your gloves off. You couldn't possibly have a backup plan. Instead of punching you in the face, I'm just going to sit here and tell you you're defeated. And then he just turns his gloves on through remote control. And it was so stupid. And that's just some instances. Like when he fought Captain Cold on that train, instead of, Captain Cold did not know he was coming. Instead of going up, punching him in the back of the head, he decides to run super speed and stop straight in front of Captain Cold. Why would you do that? And then the Heat Wave and Captain Cold fight. Oh, instead of super speed punching both these guys in the back of the head like he easily could have done, he decides to absorb both of their streams and then get them to cross with one another. I know super speed punching people in the back of the head can't be the solution for everything, but I'm saying have the villains be able to stop him from doing that. Don't have him just be retarded and not think of that. Pied Piper really made it even worse because of, like I was saying, Pied Piper, he had so many opportunities to do it. Like Pied Piper, he took his gloves off and he could have punched him. Instead, he's just like, you know, you're going to come quietly with me. It was so bad, and that's just some instances. Like every fight, like when he fought the guy who can multiply himself, that's just 6 normal dudes. He got beaten up by 6 normal guys. The guy multiplied himself to where there were like 6 of them. He got beat up by 6 normal guys. When Flash can move so fast that Iris does not even know he's moving, he had a conversation with her while moving so fast that she did not even know. But 6 normal guys, oh, that's a challenge for the Flash. Like when Flash took down Captain Cold before he was Captain Cold when he was just a criminal, that was really cool. That's how I expect him to take everyone down. That was awesome. But then when he fights these villains, he just automatically becomes a moron. And that's because these writers, instead of going, hey, look at all these years upon years worth of comics, let's draw upon those, how did they do it without making him a retard? Oh, this is how they did it. Nope, instead, you know what, let's just make him stupid. That way we don't have to write a good fight scene. We can just make him stupid and be like, hey, that's why he got beat up. It's just, Also, I hope something changes with how the fight scenes play out, because right now, it's sort of the old Spider-Man comics, which what happened in those was Spider-Man would fight the villain the first time, get the absolute crap kicked out of him, and then the second time he'd come back and kick the crap out of the guy because he learned something. I hope they change that up a little bit, like, learn something new. Now, these are just the gripes. The things I love about the show is a lot of the times the visual effects are really good. Seeing Flash run is awesome. Flash, well, not Flash, the actor for Flash, for some reason I'm drawing, but Grant Gustin, he is really good as Flash right now. He's gotten even better since the show started. When the show started, I was like, he's alright. He's gotten better. He's still not like movie quality, but he's good. I love Cisco and Caitlin and Dr. Wells. They are all a great team. They work great. They're like Team Arrow, except even better than Team Arrow right now. I prefer them over Team Arrow, because Team Arrow has gotten annoying lately with some of them. I still like a lot of Team Arrow, but there are some aspects, just like mainly adding Laurel. That was just stupid. I'll talk about Arrow in a separate video, but I love Team Flash. They're great. Dr. Wells and Detective Joe. To me, Dr. Wells and Detective Joe are the 2 best actors on the show. Like, everyone else is good, and then Dr. Wells and Detective Joe are great. When it comes to acting, they're superb. Those guys are really good, and Eddie's really good as well. His voice is awesome. The guy who plays Eddie, his voice is really, really cool, and yeah, the show is really good. Just those are my 2 main gripes I mentioned earlier, the sucky villains and the bad fights. They have had some cool fights, like the Reverse Flash fight was awesome, the Arrow versus Flash fight was awesome, but the majority of fights are just bad. They make Flash a moron, and that's their way. They need to look at the comics and be like, oh, look, this is an awesome, interesting fight with a great story without having Flash just immediately punch someone in the back of the head, but he's also not a complete moron. So they need to find that balance. Just read the comics. This was my same problem with Superman the animated series. They made Superman a complete idiot, and they made his powers really, really dumbed down, because instead of reading a comic and saying, oh, this is how you make an interesting Superman story with having him be powerful and smart, they decide, you know what, we know best. Let's make him dumb and let's dumb his powers down. They're doing pretty much the same thing with Flash, besides like the powers part. But yeah, again, the show has been really good. The casting is great. I love the chemistry between all the characters is great. They've got a great mystery element with Dr. Wells. That's like sitting through an entire episode the whole time just thinking, I wonder what's going to happen at the end of the episode with Dr. Wells. What are they going to reveal next? And I can't wait for the next episode. The show's been really good. And yeah, please let me know in the comments below what are you guys' thoughts on The Flash. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.